coconut and seafood from Kerala along the coast of the Arabian Sea.
It's quite exciting, adventurous I would say. And I'm looking forward to what catch we are going to get this morning.
Jai Jai Raya Bane Mandir Vai Jai Raya Bane Mandir Vai Jai Raya Bane Mandir.
Every day I wake up in the morning and one of the first things I do
is brush your teeth.
I'll go outside my apartment and draw a kolam, which is a design made with rice flour. The tradition for doing kolams was to feed the ants. This comes from Buddhism and Jainism, where even the smallest creature on earth was venerated. They took care of them. Rice flour symbolizes fertility and prosperity and the harvest. Rice flour epitomizes the abundance of South India. Tell me a story about food. My name is Shobha Narayan and I'm a food writer. I'm the author of Monsoon Diary, a food memoir, which is the story of my life in southern India, told through food.
Acclaimed food writer Shobha Narayan lives in the very heart of South India, in Bangalore. Over the last decade, the city's emerging middle class has enjoyed economic prosperity and embraced progress. Still, Narayan savors the age-old traditions of the kitchen, where enduring recipes and aromatic spices connect her to both family and an ancient past.
I live in a high-rise building just like any other. Malini, let's go! On a typical day, I take the elevator down, I say good morning to the doorman. Good morning, Mohammed.
Good morning, madam.
Walk across the street and buy fresh milk from a cow. One of the pleasures of living in India is the juxtaposition of the very modern with the very ancient.
You know, when I was a little girl, I used to get the milk like this from the cow.
After my years in America, I thought I would come back and all of those traditions would have disappeared. And then, lo and behold, here they are. I think it's important for kids to know that milk comes from cows, not from the supermarket.
That's bomb.
That's his bomb. I boil the milk and I use it to set yogurt. The fascinating thing about India is to see how our food plays out in this new modern context. This is Goddess Lakshmi with a ladle in her hand, overseeing the kitchen. Ultimately, it's the spices that define our cuisine. An Indian cook would be lost without the spices. I have a little box that I call an Anjala Putti, and in it are the spices that are essential. This is black mustard seeds, cumin seeds, fenugreek seeds. No Indian woman would travel without it. And when I was a bride and I went to my husband's house to set up, I had in my suitcase this little box, and you can cover it and you carry it with you. It's like gold. The irony is that the only spices that are native to India are turmeric and pepper and salt. It was the Arabs, the Mughals from Persia, a strong population of Muslims. They brought a certain richness and elegance, the use of nuts like cashew nuts, rich halims, and the biryani, saffron and ghee. Exotic spices like nutmeg could be traced to Tunisia and Ethiopia. It was the Portuguese who brought green chilies, which is so prevalent in South India in all our curries. The strange thing is the culture whose cuisine we have absorbed the least are our last invaders, the British. We have taken almost nothing of British food, no shepherd's pie, no Yorkshire pudding. The opposite has happened. Now chicken tikka masala is supposed to be Britain's national dish. Today we're having Sunday brunch with my family. My brother is here with his family. We eat together often. Here comes the puris. All my family is vegetarian. I'm a vegetarian. If you grow up in India, it's very easy to be a vegetarian because there's so much variety available. Especially in the south, everywhere there are options and they're tasty options. It's not even as if you're depriving yourself.
Okay, this is called a pani puri.
Pani means water.
Pani means water. The puri has to be crisp. You make a hole with your thumb, right? Then you put the potato mixture right inside, stuff it right in. Dunk it in the water, and this needs to go into your mouth whole. And the very first time I had a pani puri when I was about 10 years old actually. It was hot and it was spicy and it was sweet and it was tangy. Such an explosion of spices in my mouth that I haven't tasted anything like that ever before.
Good build up. Now let's go.
He's laughing because I'm opening my mouth like a hippopotamus or something. Give it to me. Puri is very simple. It's made from atta, which is wheat flour.
This is mixed with water, a little bit of milk. And if you want, you can add a little bit of salt, but I don't add extra salt.
Yeah.
This is actually ready to be rolled out.
You deep fry it in hot oil and then it puffs up, and that's the fun part.
There it is.
Yes, congratulations.
So you should boil the potatoes separately and peel the potatoes. Mix the chana with it, cumin seed powder, a little bit of chili powder, and coriander seed powder. Mix that with the rock salt and then the ordinary salt. Crumble some of these puris into it so it gives that crunchy taste when you bite into the potato. Mash all that together and keep that separately.
I wondered if the jaw exercise was part of the design of pani puri. You have to open your mouth so wide.
I'm happy my brother married such a great cook.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is so good.
Indian women show their love and affection through food. I've heard that said about Jewish grandmothers, and I can quite relate to that.
Okay, who's next?
Me! You just had one. You did?
I had
You got
two.
like 10.
My grandmother taught my mother, and my mom taught me, and I'm teaching my kids. So this is a dish that has literally been translated down the generations.
My frock got wet.
Later, Shobha visits family in Chennai for a breakfast of coffee, idlis, and chutney. But first,
We're currently in the sowing season. The monsoon has just started. The farmers prepare their land, tilling the land with these cattle carts. What you see in the fields are the early buds of the crops after the first rains have fallen. My name is Rikin Gandhi. I'm out here in the field most of the time, out with Green Foundation.
India's Green Foundation works not only to conserve, but to revive agricultural crop diversity in southern India. Its goal is to help India's local farmers become self-sufficient and sustainable. In the rural town of Marlawadi, Karnataka, just south of Bangalore, villagers cultivate indigenous ragi grain without the use of pesticides, then prepare a traditional meal of ragi muda and roti.
The Green Foundation is an agricultural organization that's just trying to make farmers better farmers and try to get away from external inputs to being sustainable and being on their own. Sustainable agriculture and organic farming in general look at crop systems in an integrated way. There's compost, seed conservation, how you can really transform a farmer from conventional high inputs of water and fertilizers and pesticides to something more realistic so they can be self-sufficient. Pomblama is a big success story with Green Foundation. There was a drought last year. All the neighboring farmers had crop failures, pest attacks. Whereas if you saw Pomblama's farm, you'd see this lush field. You see lots of good onions growing with tomatoes, with ragi. And so she became the seed mother to this area. This ladybug beetle you'd only see in an organic farm, not in a chemical farm.
Yeah, the chemical pesticides kill everything, including the beneficial insects.
Shrikant is one of the 3 directors at Green Foundation. He's kind of like the main agri-scientist. Shrikant gives a scientific legitimacy to ensure that the things that they're trying to promote have some scientific basis. So the main crops are staple foods like ragi varieties.
It's very cheap, drought resistant, very hardy crop.
Vegetable varieties that are indigenous to the southern Karnataka region. There there's actually some proven benefits. If you get a local variety, less susceptible for droughts, less susceptible to pests, and you'll be able to get away with using less water, fertilizers, and pesticides.
It's here, Shrikant, ragi mudda.
We're going to visit Lakshmama in Maralwadi, and she's going to make for us some ragi roti and some ragi mudda.
Ragi roti.
This is roti.
Ragi roti is basically a flat bread. It's made very similar to a traditional chapati in a crepe style. It's highly nutrient, and you just eat it with chutney. Ragi roti is basically water combined with salt, combined with ragi. Ragi is the drought-resistant poor man's rice. It's very high in protein and fiber. The chutney that we're eating with the ragi roti was made with peanuts that she roasted on the fire. With some coconut and some coriander. We mixed it all together in this grinder. Ragi mudda is this great ball which you eat with sambar. It's essentially just ragi dough. This is ragi mudda. I think it's fantastic. It looks very bizarre. You wonder, is this edible? Is this cooked? They put in about half a liter of water into this bowl, and just before boiling, they add about 3 cups ragi flour into the boiling water. Sets up his stone where he takes out a chunk of the ragi dough with the stick. She kneads it a bit and forms it into a ball. She's making this sambar called sopo saru. Sopo means leaf, and so it's a leafy soup that also includes curry leaves, amaranthus. Then there's onions and tomatoes. And you're supposed to eat it in this strange way where you're actually not supposed to chew it. You're supposed to mix it in with your hands with a little bit of the soupy sambar and then swallow it all at one go. No chewing, just swallowing. Ragi mudda, it's sort of slimy, sort of doughy. The flavor is not so rich, it's more like whole wheat. And it tastes good, you feel awake and strong, much more kind of wholesome. And you could definitely feel it when you eat it. Dhanyavad, Haji. We're all about the health craze in the States, and I think ragi could go very well over there.
We are located in Kumblangi, which is southern part of Cochin in Kerala. It's a small village. The main income of the local people here is fishing and fishing. And we will be going for a small fishing trip from here. It is quite exciting, adventurous I would say. And I'm looking forward to what catch we are going to get this morning.
270 miles south of Bangalore, along the western Malabar coast, lies the state of Kerala, where abundant seafood and coconut define the cuisine. Food specialist Nimi Paul prepares a classic local dish, meen mole, with kadameen pearl spot fish stewed in a light, tangy sauce of coconut milk and curry.
From the water we get scampi, prawns, what we call chemmin, and a lot of crabs also. But the main fish of this area is called kadameen, which is a pearl spot fish. I'll take them home and They are very good fresh mean, which we can cook tonight for dinner. Tonight I will be making a traditional fish preparation called mean moli. Fish cooked in coconut milk, because again coconut is in plenty in this area. So here we have the fish rubbed with pepper and salt, green masala. We have onions, green chili, ginger, garlic, 1 tomato, coconut milk, 2 extracts. The first extract was we call the thick milk. The second extract we call the thin milk. We have the curry leaf, which plays a very important role in our Kerala food. The more you add into a dish, the better the flavor. For the second extract, the thin coconut milk. We avoid using a spoon so not to break up the fish. Add the thick coconut milk or the first extract. So I fried some red onions, which is sprinkled over the mean moli with some golden raisins and some cashews also. Tomato gives slight tartness to the fish. So it's got a very mild and tender flavor.
From the west coast town of Cochin, we travel 425 miles northeast to the eastern coastal city of Chennai, where Shobha Narayan gathers family for a traditional South Indian breakfast.
I grew up in India and then spent nearly 20 years in America. And then a couple of years ago, my family and I moved from New York back to Bangalore, India.
All of you have been to Coimbatore, right? That's where Shobha and I used to go to see our grandmother.
I think my love of food stems from my grandmother. Grandmother was big and round and plump and very huggable and cuddly, and she was known for her food. She was a great cook. Geography is such a large separator between America and India. And the reason I came back is because I wanted my kids to have the same experience with their grandparents that I had with mine. So I'm going to visit my parents in Chennai. My mom will make idlis, most likely, for breakfast. And my dad will make coffee, because that's what he does. He's a freak about coffee. He just loves it. One of the happiest memories of my childhood is waking up in the morning and then you smell the coffee and it was so good. And I'd see my dad with his back to me and then I'd go give him a hug.
Need a little more sugar. How is it?
Best coffee in the world. Chennai takes pride in its coffee. It calls itself the best coffee in South India and therefore in India, because North India drinks tea. It's not bitter, but there's no added sweetness to the taste. It's perfect. My mother is aesthete. She likes beauty. She likes harmony, which is difficult when you're running a family and you have hungry kids. My mom usually had a giant pot of idli or dosa batter in her fridge, and she used to tell me, that's like insurance. If you have that, you're prepared for anything. The batter is made with rice and lentils or dal. For vegetarian families, idlis provide protein. Good job.
Steady steam is coming. It's ready now.
So it was always a dramatic moment when she opened the pressure cooker. All the steam would come out.
I am getting a very good facial.
This is the secret of Amama's beauty.
I'm getting a facial.
Let me get a facial too. Ah, smells good.
This is Malus.
I made these.
You made these, that's right. Idlis are very bland and therefore you serve them with a variety of chutneys.
Breakfast time we have chutney. Chutney is mainly what we call dal. It's a kind of lentil. And the second one is coconut. And in Kerala it's indispensable. They must have coconut with every dish that they make.
There's basic coconut chutney, which is white.
Now we can add chilies and cilantro.
If you add cilantro, it becomes green. If you add tomatoes, it becomes red.
Yeah.
My dad liked making chutneys, and of course the big family joke was he would put all the oddest things. He would put whatever he felt like in chutney.
By definition, it's a mixture of all kinds of things.
He'd say, oh, this is getting stale, let's put it in the chutney.
Sour and hot and pungent, all these things come into chutney.
So that was a big joke, is don't let dad make chutney because you never know what's going in there.
Chutney. Outstanding.
Outstanding! There's a word in Tamil called kaimanam. Kai means hand, manam means fragrance, and it literally means fragrance of the hands. An Indian kitchen stresses mixing with the hands and using the hands in the cooking. The quality of the cook is translated through his hands into the food to the eater. So the idea is when you cook, be peaceful and harmonious and joyful, because what you serve will impact the eater. Malu made her first dosha today.
Really? How was it?
Horrible.